Okay, so in this section, the question says, you are designing a booth for a comic convention. The booth is 7 feet by 6 feet. So here is 6 feet, here is 7 feet. You place a square rug in the booth parallel to the walls. So we are going to make, that's not really a square, but we're going to, let's pretend it's a square. There we go. Each side of the rug is the square root of 33 feet long. Will the rug fit? Now you're going to need your calculator for this, and with the TI-30s, you can see how to do this within Canvas. But with the TI-30, to do a square root, you hit the second button in the top left, and then there's an X squared button right to the left of the 7, and then type 33 and hit equals. So the square root of 33 is approximately 5.7. So will the rug fit? So if the rug is about 5.7 feet long and your shortest length is 6 feet, then yes, that rug will fit in the booth. On the number line, between which two consecutive whole numbers is the square root of 70? So if this is a 0 and this is, let's say, 10, we're going to plug the square root of 70 into our calculator. Second, x squared, type 70, hit equals, and we get about 8.3. So there's 8, right? 8.3 is probably right around there on the number line. So the next number up is going to be 9. So the square root of 70 falls between the numbers 8 and 9. The square root of an integer n falls between 9 and 10 on a number line. So 9 and 10. What are all the possible values for n? So if we get the square root of n to equal 9, that means n has to equal 81 because the square root of 81 equals 9. If the square root of n equals 10, that means n equals 100 because the square root of 100 equals 10. So if we want them to be between 9 and 10, then n, the number for n, has to be greater than 81 and n has to be less than 100. So anywhere between 81 and 100, the square root of any one of those numbers will fall between 9 and 10. Your friend points out there will be a gap between the rug and the walls of your booth. To calculate this gap, the size of this gap, you'll need a better approximation for the length of the rug. Use the number line to estimate the square root of 33 to the nearest tenth. Well, we did the square root of 33 earlier. Let's do it again. Second, the x squared, 33 equals, and we get 5.74. So when I round to the nearest tenth, this is tenths, this is hundredths, you go one past where you want to round. If this number is a 4 or below, your tenth spot stays the same. So rounding it to the nearest tenth is 5.7. Now we want to do the square root of 33 to the nearest hundredth. So using that same calculation, we get 5.744 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So we need to look at this number, which is after the hundredths place. Since this is a 4 or below, this number stays the same. So we get 4.74 feet to the nearest thousandths. What is the square root of 50 to the nearest tenth? So again, second, x squared, type in 50, hit equals, and we're going to write the square root of 50 is approximately, I'm going to go tenths, hundredths, and I'm stopping at the hundredths place, and I'm looking at this number. This is 5 or higher, which when it's 5 or higher, we have to add 1 to the tenths place. So rounding it to the nearest tenth would be 7.1. Is it possible to find the exact decimal place for the square root of 50? The answer is no. When you type in a square root or plug a square root in your calculator and you get a decimal, this decimal goes on forever and never repeats. So it does not stop and it never repeats. Therefore, it is an irrational number. We've learned that already. So because the number just keeps going and never repeats, we cannot ever get an exact decimal value for the square root of 50. Your booth is a square-shaped table. There's our square. The table has an area of 26 feet squared. You want to hang a table skirt along the edge of the table, approximate how long the skirt will wrap the perimeter of the table. So area of a square, first we need to find out the formula for area of a square. Area of a square is side squared, because all sides of a square are the same. So if one side is labeled S, the other side has to be labeled S. Area of a square is S times S, which is side squared. That will be the area of a square. Now it says in the question that the area is 26 feet squared. So I'm going to substitute 26 in for A. So I get 26 equals side squared. And now I take the square root of each side, and I get S equals, and let's do second, x squared, 26, equals 5.099. So approximate means to round. So for this question, we can round to the nearest tenth. So 5.09, here's the hundredths. It's 5 and higher, so therefore that number has to go up by 1, so it's 5.1. So S is approximately 5.1. Now I need to find the perimeter, because it even asks us to find the perimeter, which is all sides of the square added up. And if all sides of a square equal 5.1, you can do 5.1 plus 5.1 plus 5.1 plus 5.1. Add them up, all 4 of them, and you get your answer. Or you can multiply by 4, because all 4 sides are the same. So the perimeter of the table is approximately 20.4 feet. So here we go again. The square, so a square, has an area of 112 centimeters squared. To the nearest tenth, what is the perimeter of the square? So area of a square is side squared. So again, I'm substituting the area in for A, so 112 equals S squared. To get S by itself, or to find the length of one side, we must square root. So again, with our calculator, second, x squared, type in the number 112. You get 10.583000524 in your calculator. It keeps going, but that's all your calculator can possibly show you. And so this is the length of one side. And again, all 4 sides are the exact same. So to find the perimeter, we can do 4 times the side length. So in your calculator, I'm leaving this answer up, and I'm just going to hit times 4 equals, and I get 42.33. Now here's where it says round to the nearest tenth, so I stopped at my hundredth spot right there. That is a 3, which is a 4 or lower, so my tenth spot stays the same, so it is about 42.3 centimeters. Is an estimated value rational or irrational? Estimate means to round. So when we say estimate the square root of 35, if you were to substitute the square root of 35 into your calculator, so estimate to the nearest tenth, you get 5.9. That is a terminating decimal. Terminating decimals are rational. So estimating means to round. A rounded decimal is a terminating decimal, which is rational.